Content. Welcome to the Real Estate Show with your real estate and mortgaging team, Terry Kilakos and Eleni Akrivos on CJAD 800.
I'm just loving it. It's sunny. It's Sunday. Everyone, it's time for the Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Terry Kilakos, chartered mortgage broker and president of Northeast Mortgages and founder of the Northeast Group of Companies. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. As usual, in studio with me, we have my co-host and partner, Eleni Akrivos, chartered real estate broker and president of Northeast Realties. Welcome, Eleni.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm awesome. With the sun, it's beautiful.
Oh, let me tell you, today I actually drove with my windows open.
Yeah.
I officially feel it is the first day of spring. It's not officially the first day of spring.
For real estate?
Feels
For real
like
estate, it is.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be talking about finding your real estate dream team, how to surround yourself with the right experts in order to avoid problems in the future and save thousands of dollars. Don't forget, you can always join the conversation by calling in with your questions at 514-790-0800 or texting in to 514-800. You can also watch us and comment on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Northeast Mortgages or via Northeast Realties, I believe. It's dissipating through there. And guys, if you have not done this already, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you have to do it. Newsonthego.ca. All the shows that we do here on CJAD are recorded, and they're actually put together over there. So there's a lot of interesting content. You get to see all the fun behind-the-scenes stuff that happens, including... I shouldn't say this again on the air, but me breaking things, I tend to kind of do silly things here. So yeah, it's fun. It's and there's a lot of interesting information. Before we dive into today's show, I do want to kind of get into a little bit of updates. I know we were talking right before the show, Eleni. You had something that you wanted to comment on about what's been going on in the real estate world.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing the same thing continuing, which is great. I mean, sales are up, but the new listings are down. So I'm going to say it again. I mean, if this is something you've been thinking about selling your home and you haven't, you thought it wasn't the right time, it's definitely the right time this year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a buyer, you know what? And I think you're going to talk about that. Get your pre-approval done because the rules have changed, right? So it's a little bit more difficult for buyers. It's a great time for sellers. You know what? And this is what the show is going to be about today. You just have to meet with the right people and get your plan in order.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what you're basically saying, about getting yourself pre-approved and stuff like that. I mean, you're 100% correct. A lot of people, we've talked about this before. They go off, they get a pre-approval a couple of years ago or last year, and then they think that what they did last year is still applicable today. It is not applicable today anymore. The rules have changed. The lending criteria has changed. The lenders have changed. Anyways,
it's the stress test,
yeah,
right? It's causing some
test.
Stress, and everybody needs to. This is where you need to, line up all the people that you need. You need the real estate broker, you need the mortgage broker, and there's certain things you actually need in a row, right?
100%. I'm all for it, definitely. On the mortgage front, if we look at the news of the week, for people that listen to this show long enough, and they've been listening to me kind of ranting over the last couple of years since the government kind of put in the stress test, they know where I stood. You also knew what my predictions were, okay, and my predictions were not good. I said that there was going to be 20 to 30% of potential homeowners that wanted to buy that would not be able to buy, and this is what we're actually seeing right now. And right now, the big news in Parliament is, the Trudeau government is looking to see how they can fix what they messed up a couple of years ago when they started to put in place all these rules and all these regulations. So that's going to be, it is an election year. So seeing as it's an election year, we're going to start seeing probably longer amortizations, maybe the reduction of the stress test. I have a feeling that there is going to be a few changes that come in. The other thing, and politicians and big companies, they love to backpedal all the time. And, we're seeing CMHC right now basically made an announcement this week saying, Canadians who have mortgages are actually responsible. And not only are they responsible, but they don't default on credit cards, loans, lines of credit, so on and so forth. Hello, this is what we've been saying.
Yeah.
Canadians are responsible. The national default rate, so if you look across all of Canada, it's less than 0.5%, right? So the media, everyone wants you to believe that, default rates are up and all that kind of good stuff. But the reality is it's less than 0.5%. Okay, so now they're kind of bringing this out, and they're going to probably use it in a couple of months from now when they start to relax the stress tests and all that stuff. And they're going to say, hey, you know what? It's because of the study we did. Well, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, if you didn't drive looking through the rearview mirror, you would actually realize that the stress test and all this stuff that came into place didn't actually need to be done. So anyways, that's me ranting. We have a text that's coming in, and we got to get into the show now. Quick question that just came in. I have a question regarding real estate. My home has been on the market for exactly 2 months. Had 2 offers. First one was inspected and reported. Report is very good. Nothing major. Major buyers. Nothing major. Sorry, there was a double word there. Buyers got cold feet. Second offer was too low, so we didn't accept. When should I start worrying if it doesn't sell soon? Thanks, Pearl.
Interesting about the buyers backed out, although there was nothing major in the report. And we're seeing that a lot as well with especially first-time buyers. And we're going to get into that after about, the different experts that you're going to need to have a successful real estate transaction. And that actually is one of them, is getting a good inspector, but also analyzing the inspection report after, so that you really are able to see, what is major, what isn't, and avoiding people backing out like that. So 100%. When should you worry? I mean, it's case by case. We'd have to see it. You can always call the office if you'd like us to look at it. But depending on the area you're in, it could be 90 days, could be 120 days.
But you know what? Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Yeah. But when I go and I visit a place and I say, I like it, I'm going to put an offer. You put an offer and, your financing is accepted. You do the inspection. The inspection doesn't show anything major. People can't back out at that point.
Well, we can do a whole show on this, and I can
we will.
Yeah, I can give you examples where people did back out, where even sellers, and what's major for you, Terry, and what's maybe minor for me or others. It's a matter of perception, and that's when the expertise of the real estate broker on your team comes in. That's when the expertise of the inspector comes in. That's when you can say, hey, you know what, this might be concerning for you, but let's get an estimate. Let's not just back out, right? But some people jump the gun and they make bad decisions. It's happened to me. I've seen it. We've helped clients through it. Sometimes it's not the right house. Sometimes you back out.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You need that team around you to support you.
And I'm wondering, and if Pearl can text us back, I'm very curious to know if there was 2 agents involved in this, or if it was just her agent, or if there was no agent at all.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's something that it would be important to know. And we actually have a text also that came in from Facebook land from Michael, where he writes, hey, Terry, we got a CMHC mortgage on a revenue property. Can I have a second high ratio mortgage on a single family home? Yes, you can. So a lot of people think that if you have a CMHC backed mortgage, then that's it. You can't get another 5% down or 10% down mortgage. That is absolutely not true. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4, and actually there is more than one insurer to boot. So if, let's say, you hit a limit with CMHC, the insurers can actually go off and go with Genworth, or they can go with Canada Guarantee, which is the other insurers. Especially if you're buying the property for family to live in, your kids, parents, anything like that. There's all kinds of programs available for that. You could get away with it, 5% down. Just remember, don't lie. Because if you're going to lie, so if you're actually buying it for investment purposes and you're getting a 5% down, that's a whole other conversation. Later, we'll be chatting about things to watch out for when choosing your real estate dream team. Now we're off to the CJAD Traffic Center with Mark Chaloux.
Well, we have ourselves a slow go in the Turcotte interchange on a few fronts, although it was a little worse yesterday at this time. The De La Vérendrye sector.
You have to be careful because you were still live when it said you're becoming a natural like this.
1 out of 2.
No, I'm just. It was still. Hold on.
Exit for the
Hold on. I'm just telling you.
almost instantly.
It was.
Access free there,
Okay.
and if you're going
Yeah.
downtown, that's the exit you have to take
Yeah.
because the 20
Yeah, but that you can't be heard on this.
Carry South for the 15.
No, it was. This was live.
Until 5 a.m. tomorrow.
I see what
Carry
you
South.
That's
I had done that when I did the first show.
Yeah.
Is fine, but
I was
once
on
you get Ville Marie,
and I
you're getting
talked
off
after,
pretty much
and they went
a
to
short
commercial,
time later.
and I was still talking on the off.
Were you really?
That was the first show I did, but yeah, just for a second, I was like,
On
well,
the westbound side,
For anyone that's watching us right now, for some reason, if you want to comment or if you have any questions, do it via the Northeast Mortgages page. For some bizarre reason, it's not coming through properly on my personal page, so by all means, just go there. Just to elaborate a little bit for Michael's question that he had about the CMHC-backed mortgages, you have to remember, if you buy a place and your reason for buying it is that you want to live in it, it's going to be owner occupied, then you can get away with having a CMHC backed mortgage. So remember, single family home, duplex, or a condo, you're 5% down. If you're going triplex, fourplex, you're actually at 10% down, and if you're going 5+ doors, it's 15% down. If it's going to be non-owner occupied, so if it's going to be a rental, then at that point you're actually looking at 20% down across the board, with the exception of when you go into the 5+ doors, where it still remains 15% down. You could have a CMHC backed mortgage on a multi-unit type of a property, as long as there's no commercial space in there. Okay, so make sure that there's no commercial space. It has to be chiefly residential. Marav, who's the head of that division, do you want to add anything to that? I'm getting like a no, I don't. So.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
She wasn't paying attention.
she's doing
I don't
something
know
else.
what she's doing. And that's it. So it's important. And you could buy for your kids, you could buy for your parents, you can buy for family, and you can get away with putting 5% down, even if you're not going to live in it, as long as it's not for
So
speculative
this is for
purposes.
a second purchase, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Even if you want to buy like a second home, like a country house, you could do it. You can get
Okay.
away with putting 5% down.
Okay.
Okay, secondary residence.
Good to know.
It's fine. Okay, but it's a huge misconception that people have. They think that it's only the first property that they can. Yeah, I'm talking a lot. I'm rambling today.
No, it's good.
That's it.
We like it.
I'm dropping the mic. There you go.
Okay, so.
So if you could just dive into it right away, because I think I see 2 colors already. If you could just dive into the first couple of pieces, Terry.
Mm-hmm. The first what? The first.
If you could just dive into the first couple of bits before you pick the colors, because
No. This one?
yeah, just like to start, because sometimes the texts break the flow.
Yeah, no problem.
Just pick and choose when you want to.
Oh, well, maybe we'll just name the.
It's on there.
And if you can watch me now, which you could by going on our Facebook page or going on newsonthego.ca, you would see that I'm actually busting out my air guitar here, which is pretty sad. But just to answer a really quick question here, I have a question. When is Chantal coming back? Chantal is in Austria skiing. I don't know when she's coming back. She's coming back in like 2-3 weeks or
When
something.
the snow melts.
2-3 months, sorry. So, but she's back and forth. She comes in, she does breakfast television and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I've been a mortgage broker now. It's over 12 years, okay? I've seen a lot of people, they face issues they shouldn't have, okay, due to choosing kind of like the wrong people to work with, Eleni. What is some of the stuff that you've seen? I mean, you know.
Oh my gosh, where do we start?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, myself, I've been in the business about 15 years, and what have I seen? I've seen people, choosing their friends as inspectors, and then, again, backing out of houses for no reason, and actually putting themselves in a position where they can get sued because they're backing out for no reason. Just making the wrong decisions for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And getting information from the wrong people. and not, taking the time to look at everything. Hiring people to do work and spending thousands of dollars, and I only meet them after the fact of, if you called me earlier, I could have, referred you to such and such tradesperson who may have given you another opinion.
Yeah.
So now I do see that now people are starting to ask and look for, 2-3 people before they make decisions. That's really the biggest recommendation is always get a second opinion.
Yeah, and one of the things, it kind of brings me back to something that had happened with a transaction that we were looking at. Okay, and we're talking about mortgage brokers and we're talking about stuff like that. Do you remember that client who had come to me for a pre-approval? Then she came to you, and then when you found the house, she came back to me, and basically what ended up happening is once we applied for the financing, the bank said, we're not. The client is approved. The house is not, right?
Exactly, which people don't even know that can happen.
Exactly. And, we're the type of people that, people have to realize, I don't get paid to say no to people, okay? I don't get paid to say, hey, you know what, your mortgage is not approved. It doesn't pay me to say that to anyone. So if I'm telling you you shouldn't buy a house, or if the real estate broker is telling you you shouldn't buy a house, don't buy the house. Okay. Well, in this case, if you remember, she didn't take my advice and she went to someone who was a yes person. And she basically ended up going to her bank, and her bank said, yeah, of course we can do this. No problem. And they did it. And what ended up happening 2 months later? The roof collapsed. Right. So it's part of the whole thing where you got to build yourself that team. You got to really look at everyone that you're working with, and you got to look at the interests and everything that you're so anyways, we have another question over here. Hey guys, when purchasing a property, how long do I have to have it as my address for it to be considered a property that was for personal use? So first and foremost, after a year of you living in it, it's considered it's considered your principal residence from the minute you move into it. If you're going to use it personally, it's personal. I think that more importantly for you, Sam is asking the question. He's asking, if he sells it within that year, will he pay taxes? The answer is yes. Now, personal use, after a year, you can sell it. It's a principal residence. You can buy it for $100,000, sell it for $500,000 in 2 years, and you're not going to have any type of capital gains to pay or anything like that. However, this is very, very, very important because the government, they're getting very smart to this. They're going to let you get away with it one time. They're going to let you get away with it 2, 3, maybe even a 4th time. By the time the 4th time rolls around, you're going to get a call. And you're going to get a call from the CRA, or you're going to get a call from Revenue Quebec, and they're going to say, you have consistently over the last number of years bought properties, lived in them for a certain amount of time, and flipped them. And they're going to say, this is no longer, you're not doing this, you're doing it to basically avoid paying taxes, and they're going to tax you on it. And not only are they going to tax you capital gains, but they actually reserve the right to tax you as if it was income, because now it becomes a job. Okay, so I hope I made that clear. I would strongly suggest you speak to your accountant, and your accountant could kind of really elaborate on that. We also have another question here. They came after us for the house after bidding low, and we didn't reply. Then we renegotiated, and offer was accepted. At the end, the wife backed away. That's the excuse they gave us. Even the inspector told them that there is nothing to worry about. So I guess that was the question about the previous. That's a continuation from Pearl's.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was 2 agents involved. So what do you say to that?
Well, this is what we want to get into. We want to get into, who are these experts, right?
Yeah.
And who should you be listening to? So first of all, the inspectors. I'm just going to get into the detail of the inspectors. They're just one of them. We're going to talk about land surveyors, right? We're going to talk about notaries. We're going to talk about life insurance accountants. The inspectors, I'm going to tell you right now, make or break the deal. And nothing against inspectors. We work with inspectors. The reason I say make or break the deal is not necessarily the inspector, but then how, again, are you going to see what happens after? So here's what happens. You make your offer. You make it conditional on the fact that you inspect the property. Before the inspection, there's a seller's declaration, and we should know, certain things about the house the seller has declared. Typically, I always prepare my buyers or my sellers, and I tell them, there's always going to be 1 or 2 or sometimes 3, major things that you're gonna have to spend money on in the next couple of months. Be prepared. So that's the number one mistake, is that real estate brokers do not prepare their clients. Okay, something just to throw it out there that we've started doing at Northeast Realties is that we are inspecting homes before selling them. Super important. It saves everybody a lot of hassle. Okay, so what happens after the inspection? The buyers sometimes get cold feet, and sometimes we say there's nothing major. What is major? Okay, so typically major has to significantly reduce the value of the property or increase the expenses of the property significantly. That's what's
Right.
written in our offers. What is significantly? To one person, it's $1,000. Generally speaking, significantly is it touches the value of the house. Not 1,000 or two, like we're talking 10,000 or more. Again, it's a matter of perception. You need an inspector that's going to be calm, that's going to give you the reality of the property. And then you need the parties to come together. You need the real estate brokers. Everybody has to, stay calm. And that's where it kind of sometimes goes wrong. People just get scared. They don't ask questions. They literally, I've seen buyers run away in the middle of inspections, literally run out and say, I'm not buying this house.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Interesting.
So the only thing I can tell you is, as real estate brokers, we have to give you 3 names of inspectors. I try to typically match up the type of person, if you're a certain way, I try to, we have a lot of inspectors. So it's not to say, oh, you have to only use this one, they're the best. No, there's a lot of them. They're very good, very knowledgeable. Pick one that goes with your personality, right? And all I have to say is ask for referrals for the inspection, and, look around before you choose one.
You're listening to The Real Estate Show. Coming up, we'll see which experts can cost you money and which ones can save you money. Stay tuned.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
Infinity luxury vehicles might look like they were designed to sit on display.
Very good. We have like a bunch of texts coming in, like
Awesome.
left, right, and
Are you going to be able to cover all
Yeah.
the subjects?
Hold on.
Well, real estate broker, like I said, I'm not going to really talk about it much because we're doing, we're going to do the show next week about
Hey Simon,
choosing the real estate broker, so we don't have to talk much
when
about
we
that
come
one.
back,
We
can you play Square Hammer from Ghost?
Did somebody make a request? We should play all the Queen songs. I watched Bohemian Rhapsody, guys.
Oh my God, isn't it amazing?
We loved it.
Such a good movie.
We should do a show where we just play Queen music from Queen.
Oh my
It's
God.
hot, eh?
My earrings are killing me with the headset.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think we can kind of, like the real estate broker. I'm gonna refer people to the next week's show. I mean, we don't have to go into that.
Well, just with respect to the buyer side, that they need
Yes, that they need
some
to be
represented.
That's it. Yeah, that's the
That's
main.
the most important one,
Yeah.
and to ask for referrals, like to make sure, that
Well, I'm basically gonna say is have one, and the big thing is trust.
yeah.
It's trust. That's it.
I find the inspector.
And listen to the next
The
show.
inspector is a big thing.
Actually, we need, now that it's the spring market, we need to do a show about inspections, guys.
Can I let you guys sit here? I'm just gonna
Yeah,
be.
go for it.
Why do we have a lot of time to chat? Let's chat. Yeah, inspectors, guys, we're gonna do a whole show about inspections. It's really become
How do I
something.
lower the speaker a tad? I still want to hear it.
From here? Speakers, headphones.
Oh, nice.
Honey, we should go variable on our mortgage. We'll save more money.
No. Why?
Hi.
Hi,
Terry
Kilakos. Yeah, definitely. I've seen a lot of horror stories with inspectors this year.
Oh my gosh. But they make buyers nervous for nothing.
Well,
If
I've
there's
heard-
something major, we're gonna deal with it.
Well, there was one client who there was ants, and rather than
Carpenter
recommending,
ants?
rather than recommending fumigation, he said, "I would not buy this house." That was his advice. I would not buy
So
this
the
house.
inspector told the client, "I would not buy this."
would
house.
not
so
buy this
this
house.
is what I'm against.
There's another one, which was yours, where there was that extra vestibule that was built.
Yeah.
Again, the notary ruined that one, saying, "I would not buy this house."
Oh yes, yeah.
It's just like I just
I
find
find-
that
yeah, no.
it sometimes it goes too far. The whole "I would not buy this house." Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm comfortable with that. We bought a repo
Yeah.
in Lachine like over 10 years ago. an inspector would come in there and he would say, I would not buy this house. There was issues with it, but we
Yeah.
were okay with those issues because we knew we were getting it at a good
But it's
deal.
also getting all the information before you say, I'm not going to buy this house. Because many times there's solutions.
But I think it just needs to be an opinion. This is what's wrong with the house. Now you make your decision. The whole I would
What
not.
about options, right? So can it be
This
fixed?
is how much it would cost to fix it. Because the whole I would not buy this house, I find it goes too far.
But even what you just said, this is how much it would cost. The inspectors are not supposed to give estimates. Did you know that? But they do. But they're not supposed to. They're not tradespeople.
And sometimes they
that's
exaggerate with the estimates.
That's
too.
what I'm saying. So the continuation of the inspection, which we're going to do a whole show on,
Yeah.
is that, okay, something's wrong. What are the options? The inspector's job is to say you could do A, B, or C.
You can get it fixed. You can do this. You can live with it. You can
Yeah. But then get a quote. Then we call in the electrician. Then we call in the plumber and we get the quote. Because they're not supposed to give quotes.
Now it's a decision that's informed. Now you
exactly.
say, I know what's wrong. I know how
Yeah.
much it would cost me. Do I still want to go ahead
But that's
with
the
this?
problem. The inspectors jump. They say, I wouldn't buy this house. It's going to cost $20,000. Where are you getting this estimate
Yeah.
from?
I
You're
agree.
not allowed to give estimates. You're not allowed to give opinions of the value of the house. I've had inspectors say, well,
You're overpaying.
You're
or-
overpaying. Where
Yeah.
why are you giving information about the value of the house?
We've seen notaries do that with
Notaries?
respect to the rate.
Oh, yes.
How come you got this rate? I've seen people get better rates. You know nothing about the situation. They may have had this rate
Oh, my gosh.
because they had a bad situation and they needed to go
Okay,
with this bank.
guys, don't get advice about your mortgage from the notary. Do not get advice about the value of your house from an inspector.
At the
I'm
end
sorry.
of the day, it's using the right people.
But it's, you know what? It's everybody has to work together.
Yeah.
You cannot get an inspector who's going to go against, and this is the problem in real estate transactions, is that people just come in, they do what they think is, sometimes they think they're doing good, but they're scaring the buyer, they're confusing people.
Yeah. And really, Eleni, are you allowed to just walk away? Because
Oh my God.
let's say I don't know, they say there's moisture in the window. Can I say, sorry, walking away, even though it's a problem that I could fix easily?
Listen.
Are you allowed?
Yes and no. So you're allowed because you have the clause, the inspection clause, which
That you
says
have to be satisfied.
that you have to be 100% satisfied after the inspection, but it does say that the inspection has to reveal something that significantly reduces the value of the property or significantly increases the expenses of the property. What does that mean? I read that clause to my clients. You understand you're going to do your inspection. You can only back out if something is significant, but at the end of the day, it's a gray zone. If for that buyer the caulking and the wind and the moisture in the windows is significant, they could back out.
Terry, nobody
But-
can see that.
That's for
Nobody
him.
can see that.
So, for example, let's say there's vermiculite in the house. We had one, for example, if Melanie's listening, she's always listening to the show, it was her house. She had vermiculite. We declared there was vermiculite. The vermiculite was tested. There was no asbestos in the vermiculite. Inspector comes, everything's fine. The inspection went really well. They left smiling. They called back the next day and said, you know what, the inspector advised us that even though the vermiculite has no asbestos, they only take 3 samples as per the Quebec law. They only take 3 samples and it's possible that there may still be asbestos. They said we can't buy the house.
What?
Now the seller said, I'll remove the vermiculite. No problem. You're scared?
Yeah,
I understand.
exactly.
I understand it's going to cost $7,000.
Yeah.
I'll remove it. No, they still wanted to back up. So was it really because of the vermiculite, or was
No,
it
they
because
used
they
as
used that as an excuse
excuse.
because they got cold feet?
Is that bad?
It's a fake C.
It's a fake see.
We always get fooled by that little. The real estate show is brought to you by.
I think people do use. I think a lot of people are getting cold feet. They
And
watch
they
too
use
much
the inspection
HGTV,
clause.
and they use the
So
inspection.
maybe
to
the
back
inspection clause is not properly.
It's the standard clause in our documents.
Yeah, but OASIC maybe needs to review the promise to purchase
Good luck, honey.
document and actually change that clause to if there's anything major.
I'll tell you what they are doing. They're in the middle of trying to regulate inspectors because, as you know, right now,
Anybody could be.
not anybody can be an inspector.
Anybody can
You can
inspect.
bring anybody to
Yes.
inspect. You could bring your cousin Bob to inspect the house.
I don't have a cousin Bob, guys.
So
I have
now-
a cousin Bob, and he's an inspector.
No, we're not letting your cousin Bob
okay,
come to
stay.
inspect. No way. That's the
Understand.
problem. So they are trying to regulate it, but again, how can you force people to? They're trying to regulate the whole inspection process of buying a house where you're going to be
There's some
forced.
inspectors out there that are ruthless. They're
Yeah.
known to come and destroy the
They
transaction.
just put too much doubt. They put so much doubt in the buyer's mind. They're never going to buy a house like that. And you know what happens after? When the buyer is so nervous, it creates this, problem with the seller.
Yeah,
It's not good.
it's starting it.
I hear music.
We had that request from Olympia, I might add.
Nice.
Thank you, David Simon. You're the man. He played Olympia's song.
I didn't know we were taking music requests, but we are now. That's
too.
it.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Real Estate Show. Today, we're talking about finding your real estate dream team. I'm your host, Terry Kilakos. And don't forget, you can always join the conversation by calling 514-790-0800 or texting in, like a lot of you have done already, at 514-800. You can also watch and comment on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Northeast Mortgages or /Northeast Realties. As well, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is newsonthego.ca, where we kind of put together all of these wonderful shows that we do. We record them and we put them on there. We have some very interesting question and answers that we've put together. We compile everything, and it's very interesting. I got to say, I'm very I like our YouTube channel. It plays at the office all day, and clients who come in, they love it as well. Okay, so let's continue our discussion here. Okay, before we were talking about how certain people, and while we were on the break in Facebook land, we kind of discussed this, how inspectors, different people, part of your team can actually cost you money. They can make you money. Let's elaborate a little bit on it, right? So when you're buying or selling a house, should you have representation, right? So when you're buying a house, for example.
Absolutely. You guys tune in next week. We're going to do a whole show about, choosing your own real estate broker. You need to be represented as a buyer.
Yeah.
And basically speaking, you need to work with somebody you trust on the buying side, on the selling side. Get referrals. Find a real estate broker that you work well with and that you trust. It's that simple. But do not go alone. Simple as that.
Let's talk about inspectors. I know you just went on a rant on Facebook about this, but let's kind of expand this a little bit.
You know what? We're going to do a whole show on inspections, and I think we are going to go on to mortgage brokers and the other experts. For the inspectors, again, you just have to get a referral. Make sure it's somebody that is not going to stress everybody out. It's very simple. They need to be professional. They need to stick to what they're doing. A lot of professional inspectors are out of their mandates. They will come and they will talk about the value of the house. They will tell a buyer, don't buy the house because I don't think it's worth this much. Not in their mandate. They will give estimates about work to be done. Not in your mandate. If we need estimates, we're going to ask for a little bit more time, and then we're going to call the tradespeople, the plumbers, the structural engineers. So a lot of times sometimes they mean well. They want to help the client. They step outside of their mandate. So just make sure you get a referral. You get a couple of names. We never give one name. We're going to give you a couple of names, and you're going to choose a good inspector.
But I think that has a lot to do with clients also, okay? And, I want to kind of expand. I know we're going to do like a whole show on inspections, but and it's a really important topic because a lot of people don't realize just how important this is. The inspector can obviously make or break your show. You could make or break your not show, your purchase, okay?
Yeah.
The inspector can literally destroy any potential for this property to sell in the future. And a lot of them just are talking for the hell of talking. They want to look important. And you have to be careful. Now, there's a lot of really good inspectors out there, but there's a lot of really bad ones. Okay. And I want to just elaborate a little bit. So one of the things that I've heard, and it comes up time and time again, and I'm sure it's come up with you, is I have clients, they come in and they say, well, right now we're paying this much for the house, but our inspection is in a couple of days, and I'm sure the inspector is going to find something, so we're going to reduce the price after that.
Oh, yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
no, I'm sorry. If you're going into an inspection to find problems like that so that your intention is to reduce the price,
You're starting off on
you're
the wrong
starting
foot.
off on the wrong
Yeah,
foot.
and what happens with that is it really ruins the relationship of trust between the parties. And that's when things go sour. As soon as the buyer and the seller, there's like a mistrust. Oh, you didn't tell me, or oh, you're trying to lower the price. The transaction goes sour.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing and I've seen this time again, you get the inspector, he comes in, he basically goes through like a whole plethora of things, like he explains there's this problem, there's that problem. So then you as the buyer comes in and says, I want to buy this place, but I want it reduced by $10,000-$15,000. The vendors agree to it. They send the mortgage broker or the bank the evaluation, or not the evaluation, but the amendment that the price has been reduced by 10 or 15,000. And then the bank says, hold on a second. Why is it reduced by 15,000? Oh, there's a crack in the foundations. We want to see the inspection report. And the minute they look at the inspection report, now all of a sudden, the bank is not comfortable doing the deal anymore.
I'm so glad you brought this
right? So you end up losing your ability to finance your property because you wanted to save $5,000 or $10,000, right? Instead of actually having a conversation that's, for us, the way that we handle our clients, I mean, we tell them straight out, have a dialogue.
Get an estimate before you make any decisions.
Exactly.
You're asking for 10, 15,000 based on what? You need to get the estimate, and then we'll move on from there. And I'm so glad you brought that up. A lot of people do not know that this may cause you not to be able to get a mortgage.
Absolutely. We have a text and we have a caller. We have John from Kirkland, which we'll get to in a second. But I just want to get to this text that came in. Can I buy a revenue property with only 5 or 10% down if it's being used to house my daughters who are university students? Yes, you can, as long as your daughters are living in it. The purpose of it is not a revenue property. It is for your daughters to live in it, who are in university.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They buy condos downtown.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It could be a duplex. It could be a triplex. If someone's living in it, no problem. Remember, single family home, condo, duplex, without a bachelor that's registered or a bachelor that's not registered, you're talking 5% down. If you're going triplex, fourplex, you're talking 10% down. If you go 5+ doors, 15% down. Okay, let's get to John in Kirkland. Has a question about property management. Hey, John.
Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
So I'm in a relationship with my sweetheart, and we found now that we have 2 properties, and we're considering instead of selling one of the homes, we'd like to rent it. And I wonder, and I listen to the show, but you guys never speak about property management. Can you give
elaborate on it a little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Sure, with pleasure.
If I rent myself, or maybe get a company to handle that.
So here's my first question to you: how much time do you have on your hands? Are you?
We are both in the thick of the rat race.
Okay.
We're 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and we kind of like our weekends to just chill.
All right. So you're basically in the same situation that I was in a couple of years ago. So for people that listen, you guys know that I have rental properties, and the rental properties that I have, when I wasn't very busy, it was very easy for me to manage them, right? I could go to work from 9 to 5, and then I could manage them afterwards. I could manage them on the weekends, and it wasn't a problem. But then all of a sudden, once I became a business owner and I started growing Northeast and all the other businesses that we have, it became very challenging. So I ended up hiring property managers to take care of my properties. And truth be told, I haven't visited any of my buildings in the last 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't deal with it. I have a guy. I pay him to manage my properties, and I would be happy to kind of have a long conversation with you about this, John. If you want to call me at the office, I mean, by all means. And we're actually on a side note in the process, and I'm glad you brought this up. We're in the process of expanding the property management company that I currently have, which manages my properties. I'm actually in the process of expanding it to some of our clients because there is a need for it. So it might be something that's going to come. I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe 6 months from now, maybe a year from now. But we are going to go into that world as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Excellent. Count on that phone call. Thank you very
much. Absolutely,
for
John. Have a great day. So if John or anyone else wants to reach us at the office, by all means, you can call us at 514-680-4674. Stay tuned for more. Talk about your real estate dream team. Now we're off to the CJAD Traffic Center with Mark Shaloub.
Eastbound side of the Met, short-lived towing operation at VO is gone. Feeling the pinch almost.
Man, I'm like...
You're on crack today.
I'm on crack. I feel, the minute like I get on the air, it's like, but then I'm exhausted afterwards. This is very tiring. I don't know.
Job.
I take my hat off to every single person that is on the air and does this in the morning, especially the morning. How do you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, get to the station for like 4, and go on the air and blah blah
Gotta be a
for like
wacko.
4 or 5 hours?
A morning wacko.
Wow.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying
Thank you.
this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
No,
enjoying
like
it.
seriously.
You're making it very easy and fun. So
Wow.
yeah, because I'm like,
It's
it's
very
1:44.
tough.
He has to go to the traffic, and I'm like, there he goes.
It's very, very tough. Like honestly,
Good
like
job.
it's. Yeah.
Okay, so Terry, do you want me to go to number 5 and ask you about the role of the mortgage brokers,
Yeah,
or do you
yeah,
feel like you
let's do
talked enough about the mortgage broker? Or you want to give a?
No, let's go to that.
Okay, we'll go there, but
Last week you went into details about
Yeah,
the role
so
of a mortgage
I
broker,
think-
but
yeah, you can do it briefly because I would like for you to talk about the insurance and the financial for people, right? What do you think?
Yeah.
maybe just go
Murad
over it
agrees.
quickly.
Yeah.
I'll go through it.
You know what,
Just
quickly.
because it's a little bit hammering it.
Well, let's
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about it, and then you could kind of go on and
Well,
talk.
I just
And
wanted
then
you
you
to
can-
touch
Because
on.
then we have these last 4 that are
Yeah, we didn't touch on notaries. We didn't touch on life insurance. So notary too.
and home
yeah.
insurance.
What do you think?
The accountant, I don't even think we'll have time for it.
No, but the mortgage broker, yeah.
And next week you can't do a part 2 because next week you're talking about the role of the real estate
But
broker.
we're done. We've covered everything. And
Well, just
Notary,
just
life
the
insurance,
last,
home insurance,
yeah,
and
just the last
accountant.
bits.
why don't you? Okay, inspectors not liable given you pay so much to get a property inspected.
Yeah.
Why are inspectors not liable? Given you
It's an
pay so
opinion.
much to
It's
get
an
property
opinion.
inspected,
Yeah,
an
they wash their
inspector
hands like
can
this.
completely
It's
miss a
just an
major
opinion.
issue.
We
in
are doing
property,
a whole
and
show
then
on
it's
Just
that.
an
costing you
opinion.
thousands, yet there is
He's
no
right.
recourse against
He's
them,
right.
even though they charge
And
substantially
they make mistakes
for their
sometimes
service.
too, eh?
How
Of
is
course.
that fair? It's
It's
not fair,
absolutely
buddy.
not fair.
It's not fair.
Is that on
We're gonna talk
Facebook
about-
or is
no,
that on...
It's on.
Okay, so
I'm
he can't hear your answer, Terry.
a
He's
serial
giving it
listener.
anyways. He's giving the.
So this is a shout out to Ann Bossy. Hi Terry, just a quick message to let you know I'm a serial listener now, learning a lot. Ann and Pierre, thank you. You the bomba. Who's that? That's Eleni?
Akrivos, chartered real estate
There you
broker
go.
and president of Northeast Realties. One meeting is all it takes to create
One meeting
your
is all it takes. Just one.
Just one.
Not
We
two.
don't need 20. Just one.
That's what your husband said. Just one
Yeah, just
meeting.
one meeting. But I have a new thing, guys. I have to send it to you guys. I have a new.
I like the music in the background.
It's like the perfect home.
You know, when I first started advertising, I wanted to do this commercial on TV, which was a little megalomaniac-y, but I wanted like people, like imagine a couple walking into their house and it's very bright, and they look up, and because it's like, and they're like, oh God, and no, it's Terry.
I like it. I actually like it.
I'm upstairs. Come on up.
CJAD 800.
We're at the home stretch here, people. 148. You're listening to the Real Estate Show on CJAD. In studio with me, we have Eleni Akrivos, and I'm Terry Kilakos, president and chartered mortgage broker for Northeast Mortgages. I almost forgot the company that I actually work for. Anyways, I'm telling you, I'm losing my mind today. We have a question here. Why are inspectors, it's more of a comment, we kind of read a little bit during the break, but why are inspectors not liable given you pay so much to get property inspected? An inspector can completely miss a major issue in a property and end up costing you thousands, yet there is no recourse against them even though they charge substantially for their services. How is that fair?
Honestly, it's a,
Eleni's shaking her head.
I'm like,
I know.
yeah. Basically, you know what? You pay the inspector. Most of them are good. They're going to give you an honest opinion of the overall condition of the house.
Yeah.
They do have errors and emissions insurance. So if there are, if there is a big case, I mean, you there's something you can do about it. But in general, I would go further than after the inspection. We mentioned it before, maybe on air, off air. I would get the tradespeople involved and get proper estimates.
Right.
To cover, to really check out what the inspector's saying. So the inspector's saying the electrical panel is faulty. Okay. The inspector's a generalist, like a general doctor. No problem. Give us 3 more days. We're going to get an electrician in. We're going to check the panel. This is how you protect yourself.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Now, okay, so let's talk notary, okay? Because this is something that's very important, and we've always had notaries in our office, which give preferential rates to our clients.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say don't look for the cheapest notary.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are buying a house and they're trying to save money. They're trying to rate shop with the mortgage broker in the bank. They're trying to save money on the inspector. Don't do it. They're trying to save money on the notary. Again, make sure the notary is, going to do the proper job. Like you said, we have notaries at our office that give preferential rates to our clients because we, just on a side note, if I can just say this, all of these people that we as mortgage brokers and real estate brokers refer you to, we do not get compensated for these referrals. Okay, just to be clear. So if we refer you to our notary, it's because they're a good notary and they're going to take care of you. If I give you 3-4 names of inspectors, the inspector, I'm not getting a referral from the inspector. It's because these are the people I feel are going to do the best job for you. So just on a side note for all these people. So just, the rate shopping and getting the cheapest, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's this people, you're dealing with transactions that are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars and you want to save $100. Come on.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Okay. We got a comment here from Leslie. Scope the main drains. Your friend Leslie. Great show. Let's go to Norma from Vaudreuil. She has a question about mortgages for land.
I really enjoy your program.
Thanks, Norma.
Could you tell me, please, do you or does any bank give mortgages for purchase of land or farm?
Okay, so farms is a different question. Okay, so there is programs and there is ways that we can get financing for farms. Land, banks do not like to lend money on land, period. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking alternative lenders, whether we're talking about regular lenders, they don't want to mortgage land because you got to think of it like this: a bank is not mortgaging the land when they give you a mortgage; they're mortgaging the house, and if there's no house on it, well, it's not really worth anything for them because they're not going to be able to resell it fast enough if, God forbid, something happens. Now, that's not to say that there's no way to get a mortgage for it. We actually have lenders, private lenders, that specialize in lending money on land, and we could do it. And we have clients that buy land all the time, and we get them financing for it. The other thing that you can do, and this is something that I always suggest, I always look and say, are you able to do some owner financing when you're buying land? And this is something that we can help you structure as well. So, for example, if you have a parcel of land in wherever you want to buy and the owner is open to it, we can structure a deal with them where they are going to be the ones that are financing you for it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Absolutely.
And what is your telephone number?
So you can reach us at the office at 514 680 4674.
4674.
Yeah.
And where are you located?
We're in Ville Saint Laurent, but we have people that go basically all over Quebec.
Oh, okay. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Norma. Have a great day. So now let's talk home insurance. Okay,
Yes.
because this is we had a couple of comments that people were asking about it. Let's talk a little bit about home insurance. Okay, we have the home insurance division at our company. What's been your experience with that? Have you seen?
The only thing I have seen is that, when we see older homes, I do see that clients have a concern about the costs. So costs of home insurance in general have gone up. And then it's also the stress of calling around. That's what I've seen. So we're getting to the notary. You're in the middle of purchasing a house, and the notary's like, well, you need home insurance, right? And between work and everything, buying a house, it takes up a lot of your time, and people don't realize this. So I've done both things myself. Shopped around on my own home insurance until I realized there was something called a home insurance broker. I never knew. So like you said, we have it at the office. I think it's a great service, kind of like a mortgage broker. They shop around. I honestly, I don't know what they do, but you give them the information,
it's the
right?
same
And then
thing
they
that a
find
mortgage broker does, right? I mean, they have access to every insurance company that's accessible to brokers, and we basically find the best deal for you, right?
Yeah, and it kind of saves you time. That's what I mean by I don't know what they do. I just give them the information, and they come back and they give you options, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to have Mike on the show with us to kind of.
Sure.
Mike is our damage insurance broker.
But talking about insurance,
yeah,
we kind of didn't talk about this. We talked a lot about mortgage brokers and all that stuff. What about life insurance?
Okay.
I know you get this question a lot. People come to see you for a mortgage, and then and then they already went to the bank, and the bank offered them life insurance. And so, what's the difference between?
Okay. So first and foremost, you have to remember one thing. If a bank is offering you any type of insurance, say thank you very much, walk away. Okay. Categorically. Okay.
Okay.
The amount of times that it's actually worth it to take insurance from a banker or from a mortgage broker is slim to none. Okay. It is going to cost you more money in the long run, and you're less protected than if you actually set it up properly. So back in the day.
So just a quick question.
Yeah.
Why is it offered? And this is my question to you. Why is life insurance a product that's offered between from you and you can get it from a life insurance broker?
Because this is how banks make money. They want to obviously, line their pockets a little bit. And unfortunately, it's an easy way. We're going to do a whole show on that. I want to get Anton in as well so that he can talk about mortgage life insurance.
Yes.
We're quickly running out of time. We've actually run out of real estate here. If you guys want to reach us at the office, you can call us at 514-680-4674. As well, you can visit us online at northeastmortgages.ca. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, newsonthego.ca. Till next week, everyone, have a great week.
Bye,
the
guys.
opinions expressed in the preceding program were provided for general information purposes only and should not be construed as advice from CJAD 800 or Bell Media. Listen.
Yeah. No, it's good. We squeezed the last two things in there, guys. Home insurance, life insurance. So I think we're going to do a show on inspections. We're going to do a show on home insurance. We're going to do a show on life insurance. What else? No, I said home insurance, life insurance, inspections. What else? Raph, anything else?
Accountants?
Accountants?
Yeah. Notaries?
We're doing a show for everything.
Land surveyors?
You know what's funny is if there's a notary out there that's listening to this, I need you to actually reach out to me. I'd like to have you on the show. For some bizarre reason, no notary wants to be on the air.
Aww.
I find it very strange. So we have, Joanna Serban, who's our go-to notary in the office. She's never wanted to be on the air. I have begged her. I'm like, please come on the show with me. I can't. I'm too nervous. Every other notary I've ever spoken to, I'm too nervous. So if there's a notary out there watching this, you want to be on the air with me, give me a call. I'd love to have you guys on.
Dina would do it.
You think Dina would do it?
Dina would do it.
Maybe we'll get Dina on.
I think
It'll be like a Greek show instead of the real estate show. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.
Bye, guys.